Hey, how's it going, guys? This is your boy Hazed, and today we're on the Battle for Azeroth Alpha, gonna be discussing the new Death Knight Dispel. It's for Frost, Unholy, and of course, Blood. And it's gonna help us a little bit with ranged fighting, but we're definitely gonna have to take a closer look and talk about some of these tricks. So, let's do this.
It's who we are, it's what we do, we've come so far, and now we pay the price, so don't even cry. The world is breaking down, and I cannot leave the ground.
So, if you remember the old Dispel of Frost Death Knights, it came in the form of Icy Touch, which Icy Touch was an okay ability. It dispelled magical abilities off the target and dealt a minor amount of damage, but in my opinion, we are getting a much stronger and much better Dispel than we used to have on a Frost Death Knight. So let me explain a little bit here. The new ability that we're going to be getting is called Reap Magic, which reaps one beneficial magic effect from the target, removing it and granting you 25 runic power. Now, why is this a big difference from the old one? For one, it's granting 25 runic power, which if you're at range from anything such as a mage, a paladin with bop, there's quite a few different things you could do. Simple buffs that, classes are actually going to have on their head because they gave back a lot of the single class buffs that we got going on. So that'll be another way to do it. So this will give us a way to give us more runic power at range, whether it's in arena or in a 1v1 dueling situation if timed correctly. Also give us a little bit more burst if we're closing gaps, and that being a little bit stronger than, of course, spamming Icy Chains or spamming Howling Blast, which both of those only grant 10 runic power. So this will give you a little bit more healing capability and a little bit more of a damage capability when timed correctly. And not only that, the other reason that makes this new Dispel better than the old Icy Touch is the old Icy Touch consumed a rune when used, and Reap Magic is on a 10-second cooldown, making it a lot better, obviously, than having to rely on the cooldown of a rune. Now, it does require a global cooldown. That isn't any change from the old one. That stays exactly the same, but the fact that it's on a 10-second cooldown, that is an extra 25 runic power every 10 seconds if you can dispel something on a target. If you're fighting something like a Resto Shaman, this ability will destroy a Resto. Well, not destroy, but it'll definitely put them in a more off position than they usually be in right now in Legion versus a Frost Death Knight. And the other thing that makes this ability insane is it has a 40-yard range. Yes, 40 yards. We're talking you can be back here across the room and hit, let's say, this training dummy from all the way back here. You see how far that is? That is an insane amount. That is 40 yards inside of arena. Now, there's a few things I've got working with this ability going on that I've got kind of ideas for with Frost DKs. One of them being that Frost DKs will be able to use this to pre-prep runic power inside PvP situations and kind of get up runic power for burst before going into fight. This could also help us in 1v1 scenarios. Of course, if the two players are starting on the opposite edges of the map and they're moving in close, the Frost DK pillar humps, hits him with, like, an Icy Chains, and then dispels the magic and then runs back. Something along those lines. Or he just pops out from the corner, hits him with dispels, and runs back, kind of like a lot of classes are currently doing. And one of the reasons I believe they gave this ability back is because Frost DKs, they really needed something. Obviously, they can't have a stun. They didn't give us a stun. They kind of just took our stun away, and they handed us back to Dispel. And it was needed. The Dispel was really needed to play TSG scenarios because it was super hard to get through, like bop and things like that, obviously. So I'm hoping this will bring actually TSG back into the limelight instead of playing mostly Walking Dead on a Frost DK if you're trying to push rating at the moment. But a couple other things that make this ability a lot more OP, obviously, than the Icy Touch one is you don't even have to be looking at the target. Let's say you're running away and kiting, you could still be dispelling that healer 40 yards across the map. You run into LOS, you're looking away, you don't even know where he's at this point. But guess what? The ability still hits him as long as he's still within 40 yards, granting you that extra runic power. The last thing we're going to go over with this ability is macros, because obviously with a new ability like this, we're going to have to add in some macros for arena situations. Now the first thing you're going to want is /cast target equals 1, 2, and 3 reap magic for arena situations, because a well-timed dispel obviously is going to be a lot stronger than randomly throwing the spell. That being said, I also wanted to kind of take this to just kind of a crazy level, and I decided to make a /cast sequence macro for the ability. Now what this /cast sequence macro is going to do is put Reap of Magic on a 10-second cooldown in the macro, and the rest of the 10 seconds you're going to be able to spam obliterates, acting like a regular obliterate button. So let's say you're fighting a team that's a Resto Druid, a Disciplined Priest, or a Holy Paladin that's always going to be healing the target or putting hots on the target, and obviously generating 25 extra runic power or an extra frost strike is going to be very handy during those fights. Now obviously like a Holy Paladin, it would be less effective on maybe a Mistweaver Monk, but obviously those 3 healers is going to be insane, especially since the fact that Disc Priests can basically throw their bubbles off cooldown in Battle for Azeroth. So what we're going to do with this is we're basically just going to spam Reap Magic on the target every 10 seconds that it's up, generating that extra runic power and going back into your normal rotation. But obviously, you know, generating a Reap Magic is going to give you a Frost Strike, so you might go over and do that first. But after the 10 seconds, obviously, you go back to using a normal Obliterate. It'll dispel every 10 seconds instead of smashing on an Obliterate. The reason why I made this macro is I remembered something like this being used in the past, and I have a feeling that we will definitely see it in the future. Like, this macro would probably be even more effective inside of 2 situations where you're going to focus a healer hard. I mean, even if you really got to focus the DPS in this scenario, dispelling the crap out of him if you have Resto Druid Hots, or he has a Shaman Earth Shield, or if he has Dish Shields all over him. I mean, this could just be like a multiple use thing over and over again. That would turn out being really well for consistent pressure on a Frost DK. And it would definitely simplify the fact of thinking about using this abilities at random times. But remember what I said at the start, that a well-timed dispel is always going to be better on the correct target, obviously, than spamming it with a simple reoccurring macro. And of course, inside of 1v1 situations, I don't suggest using it, because using it if they don't have magic buff on them obviously isn't going to give you anything out of it. And of course, random battleground situations, it probably won't be as beneficial. But inside arena situations when there's healers everywhere, I could definitely see it benefiting Frost DKs quite a bit, especially if you're not as experienced on a Frost DK. It'll probably help you out quite a lot. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little video of this new dispel coming out. I'm pretty excited to use it inside arena situations. It's definitely going to help the overall gameplay of Frost DKs by quite a bit. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or questions, let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Until next time, this was your boy Hazed.
At the edge of the